Okay, good day everyone. For today, we're going to discuss about multi-digit multiplication on how are we going to multiply three-digit numbers by a two-digit numbers with regrouping or without regrouping. Now, take note that in multiplication, this is just a review for all of you. We have to remember these basic concepts. We have the factors. Ano ba yung factors? Factors are the numbers which we multiply. So, for example, in 2 times 3 equals 6. What are the factors there? We have 2 and 3. Yung dalawang numbers na minumultiply natin, these are what we call the factors. And the answer, of course, in multiplication is what we call the product. So, product is the answer which we get in multiplication. But going back with the factors, di ba sa factors, dalawa. Yung dalawang factors na yon, we call them as the multiplicand and the other one is the multiplier. Yung multiplicand, siya yung minumultiply ng multiplier. Yung multiplier naman, siya yung nagmumultiply, of course, sa multiplicand. Okay? In order, in column method or the long method, in multiplication or long multiplication, yung nauuna, which for example, if we're going to arrange that in column, 2, then sa taas, di ba 2, then times 3 sa baba, yung 2 there is the multiplicand and 3 there is the multiplier. And the answer, again, is of course what we call the product. Okay? Now, there are methods. Actually, in this discussion, we're going to discuss 3 methods. The first method is by column or the long method or the long multiplication. This is the regular method that we are using or the method that you are familiar with, the column method or the long method. Diba, yung ina-arrange lang natin siya. For example, 232 times 12. So, i-arrange lang natin siya by column. Of course, dapat magkakatapat yung digits niya, yung tens, yung ones, tens, hundreds, and so on. And then, we multiply one by one. Okay? Yun ang long method. Another is the lattice method. I know some of you are not that familiar with the lattice method. And in this discussion, we are going to discuss on how are we going to utilize the lattice method in multiplying multi-digit numbers. And the third method that we're going to discuss for today is the distributive property of multiplication over addition or the DPMA. Okay? Now let's start with this example. We have 232 times 12. So in this arrangement, we can say that it suggests a long method or long multiplication because it's arranged in column. Now, what are the steps in multiplying numbers using the long multiplication? First, we multiply the ones place of the multiplicand by the ones place of the multiplier. Next, multiply the tens place of the multiplicand by the ones place of the multiplier. Third, multiply the hundreds place of the multiplicand by the ones place of the multiplier. Another, multiply the ones place of the multiplicand by the tens place of the multiplier. Then, multiply the tens place of the multiplicand by the tens place of the multiplier. Then, multiply the hundreds place of the multiplicand by the tens place of the multiplier. And then, after all, add the partial products. The result is the answer or the product of the factors. Okay? We're not going to illustrate that further because you already know that. I know. Okay? But if you are going to teach this specific learning competency sa students, you have to show these basic steps one by one. Okay? Or perform these basic steps. Right? For example, we have 232 times 12. Of course, we know that this is equal to 2,784. Okay? But again, if you're going to teach this to your students, you have to perform the basic steps. 2 times 2, then 6, 4. 2 times 3 is 6, then 2 times 2 is 4, and so on. Until you arrive at 2,784. Okay, so we're not going to discuss that further kasi I know you already know that. And in this level of yours, we're just going to discuss some of the highlights lang. We are only going to discuss topics intended for the intermediate grades. But we're not going to discuss all of them, especially the learning competencies, because take note that the grade levels that are in the primary grades or in the intermediate grades are grades 4, 5, and 6. So there are too many competencies. So ang di-discuss lang natin are the highlights or some of the most difficult, or maybe if you're going to request topics that we need to discuss na hindi nyo pa alam or hindi nyo masyado master, okay, we're going to discuss that. The focus of this subject is to teach you the contents, okay, intended for grades 4, 5, and 6, and also some of the strategies and the assessment strategies that we are going to use for that suits the intermediate graders. So to continue, let us discuss another method, which is what we call the lattice method. These are the basic steps in lattice method. So first, you have to prepare the table, and then multiply, and after multiplying, you're going to add, okay, the products. How are we going to do that? Okay, for example, so first is to prepare. So prepare the table. Then let's say we have still 232 times 12. So you're going to arrange this just like this. So if you have 3-digit numbers by a 2-digit numbers, the column will be 3. There will be 3 columns and there will be 2 rows. Kagaya nito. You're going to arrange this. So 2 for example here, 3, then 2. Then 12 naman, ito yung para sa 1, ito yung para sa 2. Then how are we going to do the lattice method? So prepared na tayo. We have to multiply it. Okay? Digit by digit. So for example, we have 1 and 2. So 1 times 2, we're going to put the answer here. So since it's already, since it's just 2, 1 times 2, we are going to put 0, 2 because it's just 2. Okay, but if the answer, for example, here is maybe if this will be 5, 5 times 2 is 10, so this will be 1, 0. Okay, next we have to multiply 1 by 3. 1 times 3 is 3, that's 0, 3. 1 times 2 is 2, of course, that's 0, 2. Then next, we're done with this. Let's multiply this 1. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 2 is 4. Okay, so we already multiplied them. Now, our task is to add. Alin ba i-add natin? Ito, okay, yung slanting part. We're going to add them. So, 0, wala nang iba. So, 0. We don't need to put 0 here. Okay? Kasi it's insignificant. Next, we have 0 plus 2 plus 0. We have 2. Then 0 plus 3 plus 0 plus 4 is equal to 7, of course. Then 2 plus 0 plus 6 is equal to 8. Then, of course, this is only 4. So, we're going to put 4. So, therefore, just like what we have got a while ago, 2,784. So, the product of 232 times 12 is equal to 2,784. Okay? That's without regrouping. But what if the example is with regrouping? For example, let's prepare 232 times 45. Perform the same steps. 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 3 is 12. Then 4 times 2 is 8. Then 5 times 2 is 10. Ito. 5 times 3 is 15. 5 times 2 is 10. Okay? Then add 1 plus 8 plus 1 is equal to 10. Now, in this case, if, for example, we have 10 and we still have 1 here, just for example ha, kasi hindi naman pare-pareho magiging examples natin. You're going to add this one to this, the result of this. So, it will become 0 only. And this will be 1. Okay? But in this case, let's just put this way. Kasi wala namang iba na susunod na eh. 0 lang naman siya. So, let's just say that this is 10. Next, we have, of course, 2 plus 1 is 3. Next, we have 9 plus 5 is 14. O, ito, papasok na ito. So, this is 14. Matitira rito is 4. Yung 1 dito will be added to 3. So, this will become 4. Okay? Then, this one is 0. So, magkaiba ito ha. Baka isipin nyo, ba't dito sinama si 0? Dito hindi. Because this is insignificant. Wala naman siyang value na. Kasi that's 0. Pero yung mga last, yung ones digit, we have to put 0. Kasi may place value siya. Okay? May value siya. Right? So, the answer will be, so if this will be 1 plus 3, that will be 4. So, 10,000, it will become 4. So, 10,440. So, when we multiply 232 by 45, the answer is 10,440 by using the lattice method. Alright? Okay. Next, let's perform the DPMA, or the distributive property of multiplication over addition. These are the basic steps. First, you have to prepare, expand natin yung multiplier, then distribute the multiplicand doon sa expanded multiplier, then add. Okay? So, how are we going to do that? Let's say we have still 232 times 12. Then, equate that to n, okay, to become an equation. N will be the product. Then next, 12 can be expanded as 10 plus 2. So, again, you can change this. 10 plus 2 is 12. It can also be 8 plus 4, diba? 9 plus 3. Okay, it depends upon you. There are many ways or many expanded forms of 12 when it comes to addition. Okay, so it's up to you. But for me, I'm going to use 10 plus 2 because if I'm going to multiply 232 by 10, it's easier. Okay? Now, in this case, I'm telling you that you have to know still, this is the combination of the long method and then the DPMA. Okay? You have to know the long method first so that you can answer this or perform this method. Okay? But again, you don't need to use calculator. Remember, your students are grades 4, 5, and 6. So, they are not allowed to use calculators in this case in multiplying 3-digit numbers by 2-digit numbers because your focus is to teach them how to multiply numbers manually. Okay? Now, so, our new equation based from this, going back, we have 232 times the expanded multiplier, which is 10 plus 2. Okay? Then equate it to n because it's the product. Now, here comes the DPMA. So, we're going to utilize now. The DPMA. So, DPMA means distributive. So, it means we're going to distribute 232 to 10. So, that's 232 times 10. Ito yon. 232 times 10. Then next, distribute this again to 2. Then plus 232 times 2. Okay? So ito yon. Plus 232 times 2. Then 232 times 10 is equal to 2,320. Then 232 times 2 is 464. Then that is equal to 2,784. Okay, that's how we use the DPMA in multiplying 3-digit numbers by a 2-digit number. Another example, let's say we have 232 times 45. So equate it again to n. Then expand natin si 45. For me, I will use 10 plus 35. So 10 plus 35 is 45 then. Again, pwede rin namang kahit ilan. You can say 20 plus 25. Pwede rin naman yun. But for me again, to make it easier for me to multiply this, I'm going to multiply this by 10. So our new equation now will be 232 times the quantity, 10 plus 35 equals n. Now let us apply the DPMA. So 232 times 10, that's 232 times 10. Then 232 times 35. Okay, 232 times 10 is 2,320, right? Then 232 times 35. So in this case, again, you're not allowed to use calculator. So you have to multiply this manually. Okay, using the long method. So multiplying this, we will have the result 8,120. And adding them, we have 10,440. Alright? So for us, I have taught you this at this strategy. Ganitong strategy ginamit ko sa inyo because you are not in the intermediate grades. But if you are going to teach this to the intermediate graders, you have to teach them first how to multiply numbers using the long method. Kailangan turo mo muna yon para mas madali sa kanila ito because the prerequisite of this method is that they already know the long method. Okay? Or the long multiplication. Next, since you already know how to multiply numbers using the long method and the lattice method, and of course using the DPMA, we're going to have a short quiz. Okay, this will be due until tomorrow pa naman. And you're going to answer this. You're going to use distributive property of multiplication over addition in multiplying 245 and 36. Another, you're going to use lattice method in multiplying 474 by 67. Another, you're going to write the factors in column. Tapos, you're going to use long method or long multiplication in multiplying 689 by 67. Okay, so this will be your quiz number 1 to be submitted tomorrow. Right? Next, as an activity, this will be your first activity in our subject. You are going to answer this. After learning this lesson, reflect on how it can be learned by your future pupils in a more effective, creative, and meaningful way. Kindly discuss your motivational activity. Diba, in your lesson planning, motivation is very important. And also in delivering your lessons, motivation or motivational activities are very important to set the mood of your students or pupils. So it's very important that you must have very good motivational activity. So ano ba yung bagay na motivational activity in this lesson? Okay, so kindly discuss about your motivational activity and give an example of that. Okay, next, your teaching strategy or strategies. So what will be your teaching strategy or strategies that you're going to use to execute this lesson to your pupils. Again, yung teaching strategy or strategies na gagamitin mo must be suited doon sa type of students na meron ka. Anong students na meron ka? Sa intermediate grades. Grades 4, 5, and 6. Okay? Of course, again, considering the multiple intelligences, that the mode of assessment that you are going to use. Okay? So, due of this will be next Saturday. Thank you and keep safe, everyone.